Hi, Allison. My name is Mohammed Michael Zion Jalo Jamboria. I think I applied under Zion, which is my middle name, or Mozi, which is Mohammed Zion. We spoke briefly about some of the resources that you are amassing for your applicants of color, namely the Black owned farm that's right next door to you. So hopefully that helps you find my application and my previously submitted information. I have recorded this video probably 20 times, each of them over 16 minutes long. So I'm going to try my best to be a lot shorter than that. A lot shorter. Okay, so I think the first thing I want to say is thank you for this process. Thank you for how you're building this. And it even really helps me bring in some of my ideas for today. You've created a curriculum, a beautiful curriculum for us to move through, and it's changing and it's morphing literally in real time. And I see it, you see it, and then we get to see it be reflected back from you as we're seeing you review our things. It's kind of trippy and really fun. And it's a really beautiful container for us to move through. And so if I can set up a metaphor and then make an, suggest something is you are a steward and we're moving through your curriculum. We're moving through K through 12 with you. And not to name you as a teacher, but again, as a steward. And I think that the same will be really important for those that are not just on the left or the right-hand path, that are not just interested in this work, but as you're talking about creating a movement, just like in kindergarten, we start with the fundamentals of what a number even is. We start with counting on our fingers and our toes, and then we move in towards multiplication and division and subtraction and all the things. And then we get to trigonometry, and we get to geometry, and we get to calculus 2, a curriculum to help move and steward those at the very beginning of these sparks that then spark the electricity that is a movement, or spark the flow that is a movement. Might need, similar to, an ABC guide that gives them the little dots so that they trace it, something sort of similar. And so while I'm looking at your medium and ingesting it, something I really loved were the claims that you made that myths and archetype can support someone in creating a more effective or happier, purposeful life, can help them move through successful relationships slightly better, or create more successful relationships. I agree with you completely. And for someone who may not be at the high school level or the graduate level of the work that you're stewarding, of archetypal or mythical work, that a kindergartner or a third grader may need to hear, okay, well, this work has the archetype of the child. And I click on the first video, that's the child, and then it takes me through, well, what is the child? What is the journey that they move on? What is the archetype, and what pantheons have the archetype of the child? And it's kind of like a hooked on phonics type of a setup, right? Where you're moving people through 1, then 2, then 3. And I think that will help folks move through your work to then spark a movement, right? I think that the movement comes later, and first comes the process and the package. And so in creating the process and the package, using labels, using archives more, using just very direct, very succinct, very simple language is really helpful. I love how your mind works, and I can tell that you're also a systems thinker, that you are creating both the framework and the setup, then you're telling the story, then you're explaining the story. That is really beautiful and makes sense for someone at the 6th grade level or above. They're engaging with you and returning back to you because they might like to be lectured. They might like to, I love to be lectured at. I think that the word pedantic is more erotic than it is more negative. I think that to be someone who can explain things and can take something very large and make it smaller is a service. However, for those that may need more support with media literacy or with regular, language literacy, or who are just newer to the concepts that you're explaining, who are not like myself, who are a devotee of Obatala or Oshun, or have these deities ruling over their head, might need not just the concept, but the framework explained a lot slower. And in that process, in you trying to grab and make a video that pertains to everyone, to every grade school, which is what I can see, which is a value that I hold in how you set up your work, I think that I can see you losing some of the the kindergartners and losing some of the 12th graders. And so you have this really, really great media setup that's great for those middle school aged folks, but something easier and still accessible, I think, needs to be created for folks who are just getting engaged with you, or just getting started with engaging with your work, slash folks that will actually help spark that larger movement that you're talking about creating and wanting to create. So to be a little bit more specific. So yeah, I mean, you are a storyteller and you want folks to engage with storytelling. In your videos, I've seen a lot of explaining the setup, and that takes away from the story. In creating a curriculum for folks to move through from the K through 12 level, it might be, I think a suggestion might be separating the moments where you are explaining a concept from the actual storytelling. I think that even a way, if we were to set up a small archive of, say, the movement of the hero, I would say tell the story. You have a video where you're wearing red and you have red lipstick and you have your fiery hair, and that was really captivating, very quickly captivating, and it was, I want to listen to what she says. You've talked about in your other videos utilizing the archetypes that you know that you move through, turning that on and off. And so similarly, in, say, an archive based solely on the hero, the first video is you in that getup, and I apologize for the forwardness of this, I hope that's okay to say, but like, you utilizing the magic, the beauty magic, or the archetype that you're moving within, and using that to then just tell the story. Then you can get into the next video in it, because they clicked on it, is being a little bit, we start with lecture 1. I personally would love that. And I know that a lot of other people would too, but to utilize the mercutial energy of how media is set up right now, those 30-second, those 20-second, those 1-minute sparks of imagination, which you have started to get down for sure. I can see how you've shifted a lot of your media to be one or the other, where it's not just a lecture or a concept being explained, and it's not just the myth. I can see how you're, or it's not all of them together, it's like separate parts. I can see how you've done that and continue to do that. I think now is just creating like a very streamlined curriculum or archive or process for folks to move through. Okay, so let me make sure. An archetype or a curriculum for folks to move through. And then I'm rereading some of my notes on like mothers, lovers, artists. You have all these great access points for folks that can get engaged with this work. I mean, it's going to be so easy to create a movement because you've included everyone in the movement, which is how you create a movement. But again, just finding that, creating the resources to be more bite-sized, more understandable, to then get those folks who then will do the deep dive with you, who will then move towards being a student with you, or going to one of your retreats, or even to one of your virtual retreats. Cheesy Roll Up, I love that name, recommended. To get folks in the process of a movement is to spark those first bits, and recognizing that the spark that is going to be had with people is not just those at the 12th grade level, not just those at the 9th grade level, but are the kindergartners and the preschoolers. So how do we capture those folks? And those are my thoughts. Slightly better organization, and being very succinct on who the target is, because if you're speaking to a kindergartner, we cannot be using 12th grade words. And so, and then another just last thing on that is the package that it's coming in. Are we being pedantic? Are we being goofy? Are we being approachable? Are you utilizing the archetype of Oshun or Venus, or of the mother? Because understanding how that shifts through your videos is also going to help understanding how folks then follow that through your videos, allowing you to create a better curriculum or path for folks to move through. You're already doing the work. It's really beautiful. It's really captivating. Just understanding what word, what algorithm, of course, will be my job or whoever you choose. But there is a part of you that can start to build that. And that's in the organization of your stories, right? Is this video for a storytelling? Is this video for a explanation? Is this video for the kindergartners to understand? Because then you can better tailor your approach, and we could create something a lot more streamlined for those different access points to then trigger that movement. All right, so those are my suggestions and what I sort of learned and saw from your work. Um, it's really impressive, and I'm like excited. I hope that I someday get the chance to visit you on the farm, either um, as a high, an employee, or someone who gets to just engage with some of the archives that you've built, because it's like really freaking dope, and seeing archetypes and myths through different pantheons. As someone who loves, I love Hinduism, I love Ifa, I love Islam, like just loves and Judaism, like moving through these different pantheons. Anyway, for someone like me, for other nerds, it'll be really, really exciting to read your book and to move through your archives, because I can just tell there's a wealth of knowledge. And then for those that need slightly more help, who are still learning that 1 + 1 = 2, they will really enjoy just hearing stories in your voice. You so clearly have such a passion for that. So, whether or not the applicant, the employee is me, I hope that whoever comes along is just a really good fit for you, because this work is really, really important. But yeah, so why does this movement, why does this work matter? And then I'll move into the questions that you asked. Like I've said, you are a myths nerd. I am a systems and a process nerd. Huge one. And I'm a service worker. I'm a career service worker. I'm a chef by trade. I'm a farmer. I'm a doula, full spectrum doula, homekeeper. I do all of this work. I've created a full spectrum home care and food company with an all black and queer, all black, brown, indigenous, queer, and trans team, except for my best friend Jordan. They are the one white person, and we call them the nepotism baby. All that to say, movement making is really important to me. Some folks question why I might care so much about cooking for folks or cooking for folks for free. I built my entire platform on it and was poor the entirety of my 20s. Just turned 30 yesterday, so still kind of poor, but that's fine. Because I care more about the work being out there than being some chef in a restaurant that makes money and has a broken down body and is an asshole to their line cooks. I don't care for that. But why does the work matter? Why put ourselves in a position to let go of ego and like get the work out there? Is because for me, life is energy moving through time. The process of becoming is energy moving through time, right? And whether or not that energy stays the same, it transfers to another thing. That whole energy is becoming. And so if we are energy moving through time, if we're ego moving through time, then we are also moving through a process of becoming. And as a process nerd, as someone who loves thinking about how we got here, how we move through, how we evolve, like just the concept of spiritually or personally actualizing or evolving or moving through a process is life. And that to me is erotic. There's something so beautiful about becoming. I know that seems kind of boring, but like we get to see nature move from seed to produce, and that's a process of becoming. And then we ingest it and it becomes other thing that is, flushed away, but it's integrated into us to allow us to become the whole thing, the whole shebang, the whole setup, the whole universe is a process of becoming and unbecoming. And why not become something that's more in alignment with the earth that we were put on? Why not become something that's more alignment with one another? Why not become a community or a community of communities that can move in alignment with the process of life, which is just energy moved through time? I don't know. There's something so erotic about, it's about a system. There's something so beautiful about a system working well, and knowing that we are parts of a system that is the universe that can be in more alignment and more harmony. Why does it matter? Because nothing else does. I don't know what else could be as important. Love, obviously, care. But that to me is the process of becoming. Yeah. Hopefully that's captivating enough that it makes sense why there's nothing else that I want to do besides build community and document processes and archive processes for collaboration and for becoming and for knowing. I don't think that there is anything else to do in life. But why now? Why this? Why you? I'm going to be completely honest with you in that I'm still also learning why you. I've been on this journey of dying and rebirthing myself over and over again, for sure. And I will continue to do that with or without this position. It's beautiful to have your knowledge to see it and to help steward it, and to have the knowledge of so many other people. But I am still truthfully learning why you. I love passion, and I could see that. I love nerds. I can see that. I can see that we could nerd out and be really passionate about it. And something that I did really like is the ways that you are wanting to depedestalize yourself, and you recognize your own power in, you know, what words start a cult, you know what words captivate folks, and can not just indoctrinate but like turn on that what is it, sheep over wool's eye, wool over sheep's eye. English is not my first language, and American idioms are so confusing. So something like that, but that can put the blindfold over someone. And that's not what you want. You want to create sovereign, or you want to help steward sovereignty within folks. And that is the whole point to me. I don't want to be anyone's guru. I don't want to be anyone's anything. I hope sometimes to be a little bit more invisible in some of the work that I do. I just want to cook you a meal and make sure that you know how to cook a meal for yourself so that you can be sovereign. And when I see other folks who can put their selves aside, who can put their identities aside, and also, again, speaking more truthfully, as a white woman moving through this world, who will say, I'm not trying to take up space in this way as a me. I want you to understand the work so that you can be you. That's really, really powerful. And there aren't enough white people, there aren't enough people in power saying that. And regardless of how much power we hold in, like internally or in the world, knowing the power that we do hold internally is really, for lack of a word, powerful. And so if I'm to ask why your voice, or if I'm to answer why you and why your voice, I think that's like a big part of it. I'm seeing you know your power and still put parts of it aside, or parts of it outside of the forefront, to drive the work. And so if I'm now to answer this question of why now and why this, I believe that service is art and art is a service. Service is a craft. It is the process of supporting someone else. It is energy towards someone and energy received. And that energy given and energy received is something that is documentable. It is it's a process. And processes for the development of oneself, the process of someone becoming more sovereign, or someone knowing themselves. I mean, that's me. If there were no ego behind the energy of me, it would just be that. It's the meeting place. It's the crux of service and care and sovereignty and becoming. Like I said, service is art and art is service. And so if art is the process of becoming, then service is that. And if service is care unto you and received by me, then it's an art to do that. And so hopefully that makes sense. I took as long as I did, not just because my birthday was yesterday, but because I didn't exactly know how to package this in a way that made the most sense. And so hopefully this makes the most sense, that I want to use my skills and have already been using my skills outside of you in this work to support people in engaging with and developing themselves through a spiritual or spirit-led lens. And so if and as myths and stories and storytelling and community building are the ways, I want to be a part of other folks' work that are doing this. And it's really cool to watch an elder, for lack of a better word, do that, and do it as nerdily as I would, or as messily as I would, or as uncertain as I would. It's really, really, really cool to watch. Not wanting to be a guru, self-teacher. Oh, yeah. Just talking about ways that I've taught myself. I have taught myself bass. I now play bass really well. I taught myself English and taught myself sign language to make sure that my sister, who's deaf, could speak and communicate with us when she was growing up. I taught myself how to use online systems and creating Notion platforms. I love a system, so creating something that wasn't just in my head, but that was on a computer that I could show someone as like, this is how this works. I love it. I love building. I am a nerd. I'm a huge nerd. And also just mundane astrology, the question of why now. I am someone who follows mundane astrology. I'm a practitioner. Knowing and understanding the energy of the earth from 2026 to 2028 is an energy and a time of renewal. And so being alongside the ride of other folks who want to build and like build on the momentum of this movement is really important. So that's my 20 minutes. A lot longer than you said. I apologize, but hopefully you watch it. Hopefully you move through it, and hopefully I move on to the next stage. Thank you for your time, Allison. Chat soon. Bye.